You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hi folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. You're in for a treat today. You got two guys, two ball busters in plain English, friends of mine I've known for a long time, and you'll know them as soon as you see them, and they're great guys, and that's why they're here, not because they're BBs, but because they're friends and they're good guys. And that would be former Sheriff of Bristol County, Tom Hodgson, and former Adjutant General of the Rhode Island National Guard, Reggie Centracchio. Again, two good friends. How you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
Hanging
Well, I
in
can't
there.
speak for the general, but I'm
Yes,
doing great.
You're doing good?
I'm doing good
You're
too.
doing
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Huh?
I can't wait for the
No?
outcome of this.
What's with the apples?
Can I talk about where they came
Go
from?
for it, yeah.
This
Don't
is
mention
from
price, that's all.
Situate
You can't
Nursery
say
in
price in this
Situate,
show.
Rhode Island. No
Yep,
price involved.
No price.
But
Situate, Rhode Island?
Yeah.
No, I know that guy. What's his name?
John Policino.
Yeah, Policino.
And so I have a deal with him. I rent a tree.
I know, I heard this
I
story.
rent a tree and I get the apples from the tree. He takes care of it and I get the fruits. It's probably a new concept.
Yeah,
similar to
that's like a
condos.
condo. Is that a tree condo, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
a
it's
tree
pretty cool.
condo.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
like that.
It's good.
Can I get a tree?
No,
No? So much for that, right? Can he get a tree?
he can get
Can
one.
the
yeah,
sheriff
yeah.
get a tree? But I can't. Well, guys, how are we doing?
Doing good.
Now,
Doing good.
I understand you got a new job now that you're not the sheriff anymore, which I'm very disappointed in, by the way. Probably even more disappointed than you are.
Yeah, well, I've always believed that life's meant to be, things happen for reasons.
Right.
I've now been asked to serve as the chairman for President Trump's Massachusetts campaign, so I'm pretty busy and involved with that. And
Well, you had a long-standing relationship with him anyway, right? You had.
yeah, I work pretty closely with him and the White House staff on a number of issues around, the border and public safety issues. I brought a lot of sheriffs there, 100 and some odd sheriffs there on a few occasions where we met with the president, and so there was really hands-on stuff going on, which was good to see in Washington as opposed to having things go through the political filter.
Right. Get right to the source.
Yeah, he would bring the people in that, if there were issues that, for example, the general had certain issues around what was going on with National Guard and it had to do with policy changes or whatever, and the president might call in the general and
Right.
others in that arena and say, tell me what we need to do. And never worried about whether a Republican or a Democrat politician was sitting there and having it watered down by sifting it through what they needed.
Or
It was
put
always-
off, or tabled,
Right.
or whatever
Yeah, it
else.
would be about what the professionals in the business who had their feet on the ground and their boots on the ground and knew that when it was whatever they were recommending, that the president felt as though, hey, look, when I create this policy, I want to make sure that whatever it is, it's coming from the people who understand
Right,
the
right.
issue, so it goes back and
And not
benefits the
just
people they
public
serve.
sentiment that
Correct.
may be swayed by other
Correct.
forces, right?
Correct. So I was blessed and humbled and honored to be able to have that opportunity.
So where are you out of now? What's your office now? Where are you? You're
Well,
still at home, or you're
Yeah,
working?
right, I'm home. Yeah, but we have, of course, the state's a big operation,
state,
so
yeah.
we've got a whole organizational chart, Senate captains and regions and things like that. So we'll be organizing some big events.
Yeah.
Last time I think our caravan was eight or 9 miles long from Plymouth all the way up to New Hampshire.
Cut it out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And you, Reggie,
Yes.
General,
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fine.
First of all, how's your wife doing?
She's doing good.
Good.
I guess she's coming along fine and couldn't be happier. So prayers work. But what I'm doing is I'm getting back into the music business.
Yeah?
So I've had several bands on the road. I have my own quintet, and that's
Yeah.
pretty busy.
Wow.
Enjoying
Plays
it.
the horn, you
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2 martinis, I sound terrific.
Yeah.
For you.
Oh, not when you take
No,
two
no,
martinis,
I don't drink.
When the listeners
Yeah,
take
when
two
the listeners drink martinis,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
sound really good.
Well, you've had a band. You've been on the show. He's been on the show. How many pieces? 17 or 18?
15.
No, it was
15.
more than that when you were on the show.
No, it was
I think
15.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
I counted wrong.
Yeah,
I
you
thought it was
did.
17.
You did. And anyway, I got.
Math was never your suit.
I don't play with those bands. On occasion, I might, but I have the New Providence Big Band. I have the Nightlife Orchestra, which used to do Cianci every day.
Yep.
And I have my own quintet, and I have several other smaller units that I kind of manage and put out there. But it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot easier than managing the entire National Guards in Rhode Island, right?
Well, not necessarily. And
No?
the Guard, and as a commander of the Guard, I used to be able to tell people to
Oh,
do
yeah, I
something.
get it, yeah.
Musicians can't be told what to do. They just play. So I'm having a good time with that. And I'm also pretty active in a lot of the associations, with military associations.
Sure.
And doing a lot with that, too. We did, as an example, with this past year, we did this is the 50th year of coming out of Vietnam. So we did a
Wow.
big celebration and we had a USO show in Situate. And I used the New Providence Big Band for that. And you're looking at Bob Hope. The closest I came was holding a golf club, and that's as close as I got. But I looked up his somewhat his bio
Right.
on the kind of things that he said during the USO show.
And you copy it?
Can't use them today.
Really?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm
it was
sure,
really
that's right.
tough. Different time.
Yep.
But if you use that today, somebody grab you by the neck. A sheriff would grab you by the neck and haul me away. So I kind of kept it.
Well, do you
somewhat
remember when we went to Bosnia? We went to Kazar, Hungary, and then we went over to visit 2 orphanages on Christmas morning.
Oh, nice.
And gave out toys to
Oh, that's
kids
wonderful.
in the Bosnia. This is during the Bosnian crisis.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
90,
close to
90
it.
what, 95, something like that?
So I think it was 98.
Was it that long?
Somewhere,
Yeah, somewhere around there. I know it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Wow.
A real tearjerker.
Yeah, of course.
We did Christmas Mass, he and I, with was it Orthodox Catholics, right?
Yeah, but I tell you, that was an experience. It was all in. I don't know what the language was that they were using for the whole mass. Maybe something.
I think it
a
was
mix of
German,
something.
wasn't it?
I'm not sure what it was, but when it came to the tickets, the collection, perfect English. I mean, 2 collections this night. that was amazing. But I love to tell the story too. He denies, but that's not so. He had his stickers, on with Bob.
Yeah.
I'm denying already. Already I'm denying because I know what you're going to
And he
say.
put them on MiG jets that were there on display, and he had
The
put 'em
Russian
on a-
jets.
and he put them on a dog.
No,
And,
I did not
yes,
put
you
it on a
did.
dog.
You put it on a dog.
Another.
Bob, I was there. I
Yeah.
saw it. Maybe you didn't see it, but I saw it.
yeah.
But he put
They
it on
blame me for it.
trucks and so on and so forth, and so he's nationally worldwide known now.
Yeah, wow.
In fact, what made me even bring it up when you said Bob Hope, because what were they calling me over there? The new Bob Hope.
Yeah.
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 Because I was the only.
They didn't speak English, right?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
All
Yeah.
the troops, all the American troops were calling me the new Bob Hope.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was Christmas time, and I was representing Rhode Island over there, and he was there, of course, and they were all from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Or just about all, not all of them, but most of them, right?
Well,
So
there
some from Mass.
was a combined unit there, but the Rhode Island Guard had the majority of it.
Right.
So that was really a good time we had.
That was a
Of course,
beautiful
we-
thing to do.
It was. We stopped at the Azores before we went in.
Because we had a problem.
We had
In
no
Tessera?
problem.
On the island of Tessera, right? Azores, you said?
Tessera, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great little place. And it was at Christmas time, and it was the whole place was
Lit up.
lit up.
Yeah.
It was great. You been there?
Oh, I've been to many times. I worked with the president of the Azores for almost 20 years.
Great stuff.
Yeah, on the whole issue of the immigration things. But I've been to the base a number of times.
Yeah, we landed at that base, and I think the wind was against the
Yep.
crossway about 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the plane came in like this.
Yeah, like this, yeah.
And then turned and landed. That was
Most of them are military pilots, the commercial pilots.
Yeah, commercial wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but most of the military the people who are now commercial pilots were in the military, flew in the
Yeah.
military, and that's how they know. Over there, the winds, because you're in the
Yeah.
middle of the Atlantic, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
And but that's wonderful that you all did that program.
And I remember what impressed me most was that there were kids in their teens who had never ever had a toy in their hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Oh
we
my
brought
God.
these GI Joes from Hasbro, and
Oh, neat.
this kid started crying. He had to be 17, 18.
I started crying. I went out to one of the Humvees
Yeah,
because
you
it
were
was.
crying because the kid was crying.
I was crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was awful. My kid, I'd give a kid a present. I say, "What do you want for Christmas?" He says, "My mom and dad." I went, "Oh."
Yeah, that's tough.
They killed both of his mom and dad, and he saw it.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Good segue into what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
You talked earlier about working directly with the president. I am convinced, I have nothing to base it on, but I'm convinced that we have cells already placed throughout the United States.
I agree.
And I think that has to do with the absence of any kind of meaningful ability to bring people into the country. That southern border, as far as I'm concerned, is letting a lot of people in that we don't even understand
No
as to why they're
accountability.
here.
Right.
And there will be a day, I think, that we'll see and wish we hadn't done that. They're being placed in all the big cities. And when that day comes that somebody says, today's day, we're going to have a big deal on our hand. You pointed out something really valuable I think we need to pay attention to. The response to that has got to be local. You can't have any kind of a national response because it doesn't work that way.
But they don't see it.
You can have resources at the national level, but
Right.
not policy.
Right.
And each individual geographical area and city has its own ability to do it, and they've got to do that.
And isn't that where the essence of the power of America came from? Was from the people,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So your point's a great one, I think. You know, I've been to that border 5 times.
Now, where do you go? Do you usually go in Texas or Arizona?
Both,
Oh, you do?
McAllen and Arizona. When I was there several years ago, when the current governor of Massachusetts was the Attorney General,
Right.
I was in with several sheriffs inside the processing station in McAllen. That same day, the current governor, who was then Attorney General in Massachusetts, was on the other side in Mexico, telling the people it was wrong that the United States wouldn't allow them to come into the country
Yeah.
illegally.
One of our,
The current governor of
Right,
Massachusetts,
right.
when she was Attorney
She
General,
was
was saying that. So,
advocating-
and today, these hotels and motels throughout Massachusetts, probably Rhode Island,
Yeah.
are being
Overrun.
overrun. They're even doing DoorDash, right, from Boston down to
cut it
to
out.
Somerset
Cut it
for,
out.
for the Haitian community because they don't like the American food. So they're ordering DoorDash out of a Haitian restaurant and bringing it down. But
Who's
but
paying for that?
You are. I am, the general. And the problem is, when you have people in government, for example, as I said about the current governor of Massachusetts, who then was saying, come on in,
Right.
come on in, this is a sanctuary for you. Now when they're overrun,
Well, now she's complaining. Now
she's
saying-
pointing to somewhere else and
Yeah,
saying,
yeah, send them
instead of
there.
standing up and saying, which I'd like to see, not just in her case, but many of these politicians
Oh, the
that
New
I've dealt with
York
over the years.
mayor, the New
Yeah,
York mayor,
stand
same
up
thing.
and say, you know what, I was wrong.
Yes, exactly.
We shouldn't have pursued this policy.
That was the smartest thing ever done by the governor of Texas and the governor of Florida to send them up here to show them.
Well, they can't sustain it down there anymore. I
Right,
mean, we're
right.
talking
But they're only
millions.
talking hundreds or even thousands here when they got millions down there.
But what's unfortunate is what a lot of people don't know. And look, we know why people want to come to America, right, General?
We hope.
Right. We hope. But the point
they
is,
destroy it.
people want to come here for opportunity, what have you. But they're not all running from violence, as they said. And I often ask, where do the kids in Chicago run? Mexico?
Right.
The ones that are on their front porch
That's
being
right.
gunned down because they're living in these
Climbing
gun-ridden
under their
neighborhoods.
beds, climbing
right,
under their beds
right.
for
Where do they run
safety.
to? And we're the most generous country in the world, as you know. We bring in over 1 million people a year legally into this country. And as the general said, you know, we have to get to a point where, particularly now, I think, I don't know how you feel about this, General, but my personal feeling is I always try to remind people, back in when our parents and our grandparents,
Ellis Island.
well, no, but World War I, World War II, the Depression, when America was spiraling down in a different way, they stood up for us.
Yeah.
They stood up for us and passed on a safer, more prosperous America. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, what are our kids and our grandkids going to say of us at a time where America is spiraling downward in a very, very difficult time in our history when we were chosen,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And the question that a lot of people say, well, it's too big. Well, to your point about it being local and coming from the people within to change the direction of the country and reclaim it, it seems to me that people have to realize not everybody jumped on those horses during the revolution,
Yeah.
but the ones that did inspired the rest of us.
Right.
Right? Not us, we weren't there, but the point is inspired the people then to follow. And that's where to your point, General, I think that's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there are two major obstacles that we need to really address, and it's eating us every single day. I think that social media is the biggest problem we have in this nation, because social media is what these young kids look at as what the values should be.
Right.
Right.
And it's fed to them, not because they're the correct ones, or not come from their family, when there are families, but it's being fed to them as to what they should be doing. And it's certainly not supporting the country. And the second one, and I'm really concerned about artificial intelligence. We're starting to see that now. You won't even know that Bob is sitting over there,
Right.
because it'd be something that looks like him. It'd be so close that you can't do it. And I
Hopefully
use
it'll be an improvement.
that. I was just going to say that. We change his face a little bit. But the bottom line is, it's going to be to the point where we don't know what the truth is, and we don't know what fake is, and that's going to be the biggest challenge.
And there are so many,
That's a
there's
great-
so many
that's a great point.
artificial intelligence companies in this country. I was shocked that there were at least 3 in Rhode Island that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
At least 3 that make robots in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
There may be more,
I
but
didn't know
we
that,
went to
no.
3 of them when I was working with the lieutenant governor, who's now the governor. We went to 3 companies. We went to companies in all 39 communities, manufacturers, and we went to 3 companies that build robots in Rhode Island. I'm shocked to see that.
Well, you know, robots, basically meaning that it can, in fact, be a good tool.
Right.
If it's controlled by us. But when the robot
not the other way
controls you, which is where we're going, that's a scary proposition.
Right,
You know, if you go to the market, you see these robots following you.
Yeah.
Oh my
and you
God, that drives me
"Where-
crazy."
Where's the canned spinach? And it'll take the canned spinach.
Oh, it does that? I didn't know that.
Well, if it's a particular aisle, you want something, it'll
Right.
take you there. But it
didn't know
will
that
say,
either.
I didn't. I
I
just
see them
fear
going around.
it'll annoy
I
you.
always wondered why they were going around. I didn't know if it was
Yeah.
to check on spills or something. I never
yeah.
knew that.
I
Wow.
did not know
yeah,
that.
I'm under
they-
that
they were-
impression now. I've never done it, but I'm being
I'm
told
gonna
that
do it next time I go
Well,
in.
try it next time.
I'm going
And at
to.
the same time, when the robot says, "Nah, you don't want spinach, you want this," then you got a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're not getting any spinach.
Once he tries it, he'll be that'll be his next guest on the show, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. You're all done. You guys are all done. I'll settle for the robot. At least you won't give me any bullshit.
Yeah, but we'll be sitting in that chair. You were sitting here.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a nice switch.
But you know, to your point, General, you know, the whole idea that the social media and all of that, the breakup of the family, you know, is the core of our society,
God,
right? And that's
yeah.
basically what you're
Absolutely,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
If those, I mean, I always ask people, how many dining room tables do you think anybody's selling anymore? Right? The kids are sitting in front of TV eating.
They do away
right?
with the
They're not-
dining room. They don't even have dining rooms in these houses today. They're open concept. They don't have a dining room
I mean, kids
anymore.
we used to play stickball in the street, right?
Yep.
You learned lessons about life there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but now you don't. They're not interacting. They're not socializing.
And you know, what you're saying too is really valuable to get the point across that time has got to come back. But unfortunately, the family unit, it would take a long time
Right.
to reinstate that.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that are driven to take their attention away from the basic idea that you need to sit down and have a meal and then talk to your kids about what
Right.
happened during the
Right.
day. But unfortunately, there may be no father. There may be multiple children without knowing who they are.
Right.
And that's a tremendous problem.
Right.
How do you deal with that? I don't know, but the education system. I want to just briefly invite you to do something. If you go to and you Google Nikita Khrushchev, 1959 United Nations,
Right.
he had 7 points. And I'll tell you, we are right on The first one was, we can't beat you militarily. He said that. We can't beat you.
Beat you from the inside.
He says, you're gonna beat yourself, and this is the way it's gonna happen. You're gonna create a multi-dollar debt that you can't possibly pay. We're there, $33 trillion.
Right.
In a few years, that some $1 trillion is gonna be only the service debt, not even touching the principal that
We're almost
already
at
have.
50% of our
Right.
budget.
But
is
there'll
paid
be
interest.
yeah, whatever we bring in will go to the
Go right
interest
back out.
rate, and that's it. The second thing is we'll control your religion, and if you look at what's happening, every religion is under attack.
Yep.
And it's dissipating. If you go to church now, maybe it's 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
Some places are more than that. The other thing is healthcare, and I'm not making this up. This is in what he said. Healthcare is going to be controlled by you're going to control it yourself, and there'll be a time when there's only one healthcare system.
Right.
There'll be no kind of ability for you to go to a cheaper place or a better doctor and so on. The next thing is going to be, we're going to eliminate the middle class, and I'll tell you we're there already.
Yep.
You have a poor class and a rich class. The poor class is going to be dependent upon the rich class, but they don't know it, so they're going to be paying a full bill. Then the other thing had to do with whether in fact we can control what we're doing as a nation. And we will wake up one morning and our kids will say, how do we get to communism? And that is exactly,
too late.
Yeah, too late. And I'm really concerned about that.
And what was the site you said to go to?
It was, I believe you can see it, Nikita Khrushchev, 1959, the United Nations. And it should be there to tell you exactly.
I wanted to make sure it was repeated so everybody out there
There you
will
go.
go look.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's how we're going to change when people
That's
strike.
right.
Now,
Exactly,
was that when he slammed his shoe on the desk?
I think it was, yeah. It may have
Remember
been.
that?
Yeah.
I wasn't there then. I was not even born then.
You weren't born then?
No.
59? Oh.
You were.
Yeah, I was.
I'm
I
not-
tried.
Kidding.
I tried.
Yeah. You almost
I'm
got
not
away
gonna
with
go
it.
there.
You
I'm
almost-
with
you almost had us biting at that one. You almost had us biting at that one. I said, maybe he's premature gray. Maybe he's not.
But
that
I'll tell
old."
you, today is the anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Wow.
I was a brand new lieutenant and stationed on a missile site, and a launcher site. My first assignment, I was commissioned in July, and here we are in October, Cuban Missile Crisis. That's the closest we ever come.
Yep,
And I
to World
would
War
never
III.
get that close to a nuclear exchange.
Right.
Right.
And
But we're coming close to it now.
all it takes is one nuke.
One mistake,
And it's
one major mistake could put
yeah,
us in a world
yeah.
crisis. I mean, it's already happening with China getting close to our aircraft, running in front,
Yeah.
flying in front of them.
Yeah, all you need is one to take a wrong
Yep.
decision or make a mistake.
And the boats too, same thing with the
Right.
boats. Going, their warships, crossing our warships, stuff like that. All it takes is one
I
bad
think
move.
they're looking for an incident to justify them doing something as a preemptive strike.
Well, I think their first move is to take over Taiwan. That's their.
Well, you
Yeah.
can, I think as we talked earlier, I do believe that that's going to be an issue in the next several
Soon
years.
enough.
Taiwan. And then we're also looking at Ukraine. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but you can't keep. I was on TV the other night on Channel 12 when I talked about this very thing. And I talked about, we're not paying attention to ourselves.
Right.
You can't keep giving $100 billion out
Exactly.
because that just raises our debt.
Especially when you don't know, no accountability. They're not even sure where all that
Yeah,
money's going
yeah.
to.
Now, I understand. We gotta make sure that Russia can't go in and take over other countries because that would be devastating to our own
But
security.
why are we the only ones?
That's exactly what I said. When we have hurricanes, and as Tom points out, many things happen in this country at the local level that nobody pays attention to. Who comes to our aid? Nothing but
Nobody.
private or the Red Cross
Right.
and other religious entities.
American
And
institutions.
Americans go fund and so on and so forth. But you don't see any other countries coming into our aid or giving us money.
Right.
And that's a real problem. We can't keep doing that because our own security is being jeopardized. At the same time, we're using that as a reason that we are in Ukraine,
Right.
that we are looking at other possibilities across the world for our security. But we seem to be
Stretching
eating
ourselves a little
ourselves.
thin, right?
Yeah. I know. I remember President Trump was talking about that, where he was saying, you all need to pay your share now.
Yeah.
Remember,
Right,
he was talking
right,
about that,
even
and
with
he
the-
was right on
Yeah.
point where you were.
Yeah.
Even with the United Nations, he was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
United Nations and NATO, NATO.
Right,
right.
We said we'd back them up, and I think that's a big fear of Russia with Ukraine getting into NATO, because
Yes.
then you'd have a huge problem.
And I thought there'd be more of a pushback with Finland joining the United Nations, or joining NATO, I mean.
Yeah, well, maybe that's psychological, but it's insignificant as far as Russia's concerned. There's no real concern there. But if Ukraine did, that's Russia's border.
Right.
And I'm not sure what would happen there, but it would not be good.
Well, Finland's right on their border.
Yeah, but
It's in the north of Finland.
Yeah,
It's
it's
in the
not-
Arctic Circle.
yeah,
I
it's,
get
I
that.
don't
yeah.
think they
Not
have
many
a-
people up there.
Yeah.
and I don't think there are a lot of Russians in that area either.
Right, right.
In Ukraine, there are.
Right.
So I think that's the justification that Putin is looking at.
Well, the
How
first.
about- sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, from the general's opinion, how useful do you feel the UN is at this point? How effective are
The United Nations? I hate to say it, but I don't see anything except resolutions.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you remember, I know you weren't around for the League of Nations, because I wasn't either.
That's the only reason you gave me that plug.
But when you look at the League of Nations,
Right.
it's going down the same path. And I don't know a lot of stuff that may be going on behind the scenes with the United Nations. But all that is, in my opinion, is a hearing platform for everybody to bitch about everybody
Right,
else
right.
with
Bitch and complain.
resolutions.
Nothing happens.
And the big deal is you have Russia and you have the United States and you have one or two other countries that can say, no, we're not going to do that,
Right.
and stop it. Same way with what Gates is doing, as far as the
Republicans, the
Republicans,
speakership.
speakership.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
something
mess.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
I can't get my
That's
hands
terrible
around it.
that five or six people can, or in their case, what was it, 12 or something?
Yeah.
People could stop the whole country.
Then at a time where Congress, in my opinion, where Congress, I grew up right outside of Washington, D.C., and I watched Congress kind of devolve into this insider baseball sort of environment where both parties just argue with each
All the
other.
time.
And people are outside the Capitol in neighborhoods across the country going, I need some help over here.
Right, yeah, how
And they're
about
like,
us?
listen, we're too busy fighting and doing
Yeah,
our
exactly.
insider baseball. If we have time, we'll get to you. But in the meantime, we're just busy doing our back and forth over things that don't really represent us,
Yeah.
that matter to us, and why we put them there. In my opinion.
I think it's because they're looking to get reelected.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. They're looking at their constituency and saying, okay, I won't get reelected unless I do this and I really come on strong. And I understand, you have to put your fist down every so often for particular things when it comes to national security. But at the same time, the country was based upon compromise.
Right.
In
Right.
the very
Which
beginning.
doesn't happen anymore.
That it just didn't happen. That was from the very beginning. You want something, you want that apple, I want this apple. Wants the apple too. What do we do? Got to split it,
Right.
and you can't have it all.
Right.
And I think that's an analogy that we need
But
to
they
look
turned
at.
each other into enemies. They're not just
Right.
arguing, they're enemies. They
Right.
hate each other.
Yeah.
They're to the point they hate each other. Everybody's a mega Republican. Everybody's this, everybody's that. But they don't talk about the other side of the coin. Look what they've done in Oregon and Washington State.
Yeah.
What-
I tell people, I grew up in a family of 13 kids, and 3/4 of my brothers and sisters are Democrats. God bless them. No, I'm just kidding. But we've had vociferous differences over policy issues and things that are going
Right.
on in the country. But you know what? We still love each other.
Yep.
We disagree. Sometimes we really have our positions, but we don't hate each other.
Yeah.
But that's the difference now.
And that's what's
different now.
that's why we the people, in my view, are the only ones that can get us back to that place. Where
Right.
people can start, you get smaller groups going, hey, listen, okay, you wanted as you
Enough
were
of
saying,
this.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's look at what we have in common as opposed to if you're going to fight over the differences, okay, but we also have a lot of things in common.
Yep.
Right? Things
Yeah.
that we both enjoy. Safe neighborhoods, healthy families, a healthy environment. Those kinds of things. They matter. So let's talk about those things if we all agree that we
Right.
need them, and then we can start to heal America, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
When did it ever
can't
happen?
let-
When did it happen that a very small percentage of the population can dictate what the entire country does?
It happened in the 1960s
Really?
In my opinion, yeah. When you had all kinds of social things going on, you know, you had Woodstock, you had, you know, everybody wanted free love and all that. And they didn't pay attention to, you know, marriage and those kinds of basic things that kept the community together. And so I think it really
That was the
started,
beginning.
yeah, and just at Blossom. But the thing that really put the fire on is, I think, social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it started with cells. Everybody had a cell.
Yep.
I never cell. I had a pager. Started with a pager.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you pick up a phone somewhere. And I had to respond a couple of times when I was the adjutant general, and I was also the director of Rhode Island EMA.
When you had your
And-
flip phone?
Yeah, when I had the flip phone, I had a pager.
Yep.
So the pager would go off. I have to get off the road and find a phone somewhere.
Right.
Because I didn't have a phone in the car, and I just didn't. I mean, one or two. The adjutant general at the time had a phone, but I wasn't the adjutant general.
One of those bag phones, is that what he had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It was a satellite phone.
Yeah, I remember. Of course, I don't think I've seen one forever, but the phone booths, right? Remember the
Yeah.
phone booths?
Yeah.
You'd have a quarter, put the
Yeah.
thing in there.
You ask a kid what that's all about today, they don't even know what you're talking
Nope.
about.
Yeah, why would you go in a little glass room outside and make a phone
How
call?
about a dial phone? How about a dial phone? How
Yeah.
about a dial phone?
Oh, I remember those. I
Yeah.
still remember.
I
my
still
phone
have
number.
one.
Do you?
Yeah, and I think the end of this year they're going to stop servicing it because my
You
grandkids
still have
come.
an operating
Yeah.
dial phone.
Dial, yep.
Wow.
And
You know what I like about them? You could put the thing on your ear and you could rest it on your shoulder, the phone itself.
Yeah, there was no speaker on it.
Yeah, no, but it was big. It was comfortable to hold on your ear. You can't
Yeah.
do that with a.
Your chiropractor would like that too, because
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you get,
yeah.
you're on a long phone call. Yeah, but you know, in talking about this, it's like sort of bringing back the good memories that you were speaking about at the beginning, General. But if we look at the evolution of what happened from the family, as you spoke of,
Right.
you know, we all knew our neighbors, right? We had established
Yes,
neighborhoods.
yes.
Suddenly, the jet age came in,
Right.
right? So families started to move. Then people would say, I don't really know my neighbor. Then you had moms that were able to go work.
Right.
And if you remember the latchkey kid, right? The latchkey
yeah.
kid was really unusual. It was like, oh wow, the kid goes home from school, nobody's there, right? And
Let's go over his house.
yeah. And then the family started to break up.
Yep.
You know, we started to see the divorce rate going up. So the next level of security was the church,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But the church started to have problems.
Yeah.
There were problems in the churches. And the school was the next sort of level of family. And then they started having problems in the schools, from the lessons and all these other things.
So now let me just emphasize what you're saying. What you're saying is what I just said about Nikita Khrushchev saying. You said every single thing that he said was going to deteriorate, and we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, I
You
guess
just said that, probably not.
in the same,
in the same
more
way.
articulate way that you did, but
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I was repeating what he said, but you did a wonderful job on bringing it to reality about having people understand what we're saying. Now you said something else. We have something in common. When I have a conversation with people, the first thing I do, if it's political, say, "Did you vote?" Nah,
Yeah,
don't think
I
to
love
vote."
that, yeah.
And so I'm not talking to you.
That's right.
The thing we could do in common is you can vote and I can vote,
And then we'll
if you
talk.
do, we can have this conversation.
right.
Otherwise, I don't want to talk to
I
you.
agree
that's a
with
good way
that.
to. I like that.
I agree with
I
that.
like that.
So you can stop.
Yeah.
And talk about something else. And I've done that on several occasions.
Yeah.
You just don't want to face reality.
And I love it. What's their answer when they say they don't? Why they say they don't vote?
I said,
It
"We gotta
doesn't
have-
mean
it
anything.
doesn't
right?
mean anything, right?
Yeah.
I said,
My
"Good."
vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
I lost by 2 votes in one election.
Yeah.
And
Really?
and I lost another election by 37 votes, both for state
I hope
representative.
you voted for yourself.
I did.
Oh, good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you
That was
imagine?
statewide, right?
Huh?
That was statewide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I still get people. I ran for office, as
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
the same office. And people come up to me, I voted for you. I voted
Of
for you.
course they did.
I should have won by a
I
landslide.
know. Yeah, I know.
Who
that,
said that?
But-
John Chafee years ago said that.
Oh, I don't
right?
know.
The
but I
father.
say that because that's exactly what I'm
Exactly.
experiencing
But John
now.
Chafee,
Right, right.
the father, said that a long time ago when he got beat for governor. And people would come up to him, I voted for you, I voted for you. He said, if everybody said they voted for me did, I would have
You would've
won
won.
unanimously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it now. Again, people come to me now. They don't know me. Can you get me a job at the State House?
Of course,
I
because
said,
they voted for you.
You know I lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but I voted for you. I said,
Yeah, well,
"All
that's the
right."
important
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's amazing how the society has changed through the years.
But voting, to your point, General, if people don't vote, they're basically saying, like I say to people, you can't, where we are today, you can't go, no more going to get gas, see while you're waiting to fill up, seeing your reflection in the glass and going, this is awful, this is
Right.
terrible,
And
then
you
get
don't
in your
vote.
car and drive away and never do anything. Don't vote. Don't get your people in your community together who feel the same way and say,
That's
listen,
right.
let's get together and let's take back what's ours.
Yeah.
Right? It's a government buy-in for the people, and so certainly the values and the things that you fought for America and those you served with, that's not to do that
Yeah.
is really shameful and really a disgrace to all of you for not honoring and worshiping what you did, right? And how you fought for those things so we could do it, and then just to walk away and not preserve that
yeah.
and appreciate it, to me is un-American
You're
as
right,
it gets.
but at the same time, I think you might agree that those people that do that are the first ones in line to bitch about something.
Right.
Right.
That's
and,
right.
And that's when you should ask. It's good. It's good to have people who go out and do these gatherings and be against something. And I'd like to say, good. You can do this, but did you vote?
Right.
If
I like
you didn't
that.
vote, get out of here.
I like
Yep,
that.
exactly.
No, I
So-
like that. I like that because accountability
Yeah,
matters.
it's exactly right. They blame somebody else, and they continue to bitch about something and not do anything about it.
Right.
So,
I like that.
Very common.
I'm gonna
When
start
we
using
go
that.
into when we go into the border?
border?
Just one more thing
Go ahead.
on when you brought up about, and I think you did too, about immigrants, illegal immigrants coming
Yes,
in and
yes,
taking the
yes.
hotels over. We have an Army-Navy game coming up.
Yes.
Oh, I heard about that.
You think you can get hotel rooms? You can't. A
Right.
good radius around that stadium is already booked with people who aren't going to go to the game. That's a huge problem.
That ought to outrage every American.
It
That-
should.
That should outrage every American when you think about the people who are in these academies who are committed to potentially going off to dangerous
Right.
places to protect
Our country.
our country
And those people.
and the rights that
Yeah.
America, the privilege and rights Americans have, that we are Americans, right?
Yeah.
And I always say to people, this idea of when you hear Mayorkas saying there's no crisis at the border,
Oh,
and you
God.
see thousands coming across, and I say, first of all, we're not stupid as Americans, and second of all, what's Mayorkas and the current administration saying to the people who are waiting their turn, maybe for years, respecting the laws of the United States?
Legal.
Are you saying to them, hey guys, don't worry about it anymore, just come on in with the rest of them we're letting in the back door?
No.
No, of course they're not, because they know what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
They know it's wrong and it's
If
un-American.
you're coming from France, you're coming from Italy, you're coming from Germany, you're coming from Greece or whatever, there's a quota.
Was
How
there
many
something wrong with
people-
Ireland?
Huh?
Was there something wrong with Ireland?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
You left that out.
I purposely
I'm teasing.
going by people who speak a different
I
language.
know, I'm kidding.
And those people, there's only so many of them can come in this country per year.
By law.
Whereas by law. But they're not coming in by the hundreds of thousands a month.
No.
They're not getting across the border. And I have this feeling, somebody said to me one time, that you know what there are some people in Mexico that firmly believe that they're going to retake Texas and California another way. You know, we had the Spanish-American War, we fought the Mexican-Americans war, and this is their way of, they're going to take this country over, or not the whole country,
You
but
know,
Texas and
I
California.
don't endorse that, but that's not far-fetched. When you look at the possibility of
Oh, it's
who's
not.
going in, there was a battle about that not that long ago, before this even started, that where the fence was, a slice of it where it used to be Mexico, this is California.
Right.
There was still a confrontation going on over that. Now, I was stationed in El Paso at Fort Bliss, Texas for a while.
that you-
And I used to go back and forth across the border. 1 penny to get across and 2 cents to come back. And the only security I had was a federale with his hat in the back of his head and a cigar. Senor, come across, that was it. But you know, those are the days where you could go back and forth and not be concerned about, having somebody come across the border that wasn't supposed to be here.
Right.
Today,
Or somebody wants to kill us.
you need that, I'm sure it's not gonna be popular, but I feel as though they should continue that wall all the way to hell across.
Absolutely.
And just don't let anybody in. period.
Absolutely. You know,
Unless legally.
Right.
and the part that isn't talked a lot about, but is impacting us in our country, is these ranchers on the border. In Starr County alone, these 5-generation ranchers, 5th generation in their family, half of those ranches have had to shut down as a result of what's going on.
Right.
They can't let their kids go to the barn to check on animals
Right.
at night because they're afraid somebody's hiding in there and will kill their kids who've come into the country illegally. That's how these people have to live every day.
Yeah.
They're coming up to their front doors, demanding they give them water, give them this, give them that. And we owe it to them, as a government, to make sure that our citizens are protected. And this idea of, you know, somebody gets into your suburban backyard, you have a fence, you have a gate on it. The reason you have the gate on is not to be unneighborly. It's just to control
who comes
you
in.
want to visit and who you don't. But when people start climbing over and camping out in your backyard, we can't have this policy in this country that says, when you call the police and say, there's a guy in my backyard sitting in a tent.
Too bad.
Say, he comes, he says, ma'am, I recognize he's there. I'm sorry, but if he made it over your wall,
Right.
he gets to stay.
Yeah.
And by the way, if he needs food, you have to feed him. If he needs medical care, make sure he gets it. That's essentially where we are right now in America. And you look at the store owners in these communities. In one of the places, these illegals are sleeping all over the streets. They're going into these fine hotels, trashing the hotels, leaving the food around because they don't like the food. And the businesses can't have customers coming there because people are defecating all over the sidewalk, they're laying all over the place, and nobody wants to go to
a business like
patronize a
that.
business.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think a good example of that is the facility, the community in California.
San Francisco?
Come on, San Francisco. That is basically shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Businesses have left.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, that's a
most
double
beautiful
whammy.
place.
The other thing is they decriminalized thievery under $1,000. That's
Yeah,
why they're
yeah.
going in and robbing all these stores. That's part of that
Yeah.
reason.
But you know, when you look at what used to be so beautiful, you know,
Yep.
I've been there so many times.
Me too,
it's not the same.
Right.
I would not want to go there now.
Yeah, the waterfront is
Yeah.
decimated down
And I
there.
think when you look at the big cities, that's going to, unfortunately, it's a cancer.
Yeah.
And it's going to spread and it's going to do exactly what has happened in San Francisco, unfortunately.
Isn't that where that woman was killed on the pier there, shot by an illegal alien? Remember that case?
She was shot what?
She was shot walking with her father. She was with her father,
Yes.
and she was shot. I can't remember her name.
That was
It was a
in San
famous case.
Francisco?
I believe it
Yeah,
was San
I think
Francisco.
you're right, yeah.
I believe so. Right down in the historic area. Yeah.
So what do? This show
Right.
is the kind of stuff that needs to get out. Because, you know, nobody's telling you,
Well, the
you
sad part.
can't cover this, you can't cover
Right,
that.
right.
You're
Well, they
talking-
can't tell me because I don't have sponsors. I don't.
That's what I'm telling
They
you.
don't have to. They can't tell me what to
Yeah.
do, but they can tell other shows what to do. By their sponsorship, they can tell them what to do.
And at the same time, I think, you know, we need to pay attention to what else is going on. It's not all bad. There's a lot of good stuff going on, too.
Right.
There's one university in Texas, I believe, I can't remember the name. Much of the money comes from multimillionaires and a couple of billionaires. Recently, they said, you're not getting another penny until you, Mr. President, get out of here and you stop this crap that's going on this campus. So
Yeah.
you may as well shut down. That's the kind of stuff that needs to happen.
Right.
Because money speaks. And
Well, it is happening a little bit with the Jewish community in the United States with these billionaires, and like in Harvard. It just happened in Harvard where
Yeah.
they had the people promoting the Palestinians up there, and they said, well, these law students, business students, I want their names because then they're coming to work for me.
yeah.
And what's outrageous about that is, that, I mean, they're supporting the Palestinians and suggesting somehow that because Hamas, who are Palestinian, came and attacked and lopped the heads off of these babies, went into people's homes, raped the mothers in front of their kids, and murdered them, and all of this, that somehow there's this odd belief by these people that the Jewish people who were the victims were somehow
At fault?
responsible for why they came in and murdered these people.
Yep.
I mean, this is total evil.
Yeah.
I've been to that kibbutz where those people were slaughtered.
Really?
Right,
Yeah.
right by Gaza. Yep. I don't know if you've been there, Colonel, General. Excuse me. But that kibbutz is right right,
Right at the border,
Right
yeah.
at the border. It's in
All they had to
Stay-
do was cut the fence, right?
It's Stay Road, which is the area that gets shelled more than anywhere else. The bus stops are bomb shelters for the kids. They have a monopoly game that they teach their kids how to deal with these attacks. And the way it works is they roll the dice, you move your piece along like you would in Monopoly. If you land on a bomb, you have to pull a card. The card has a scenario. And
You have to learn
you
the
have to
scenario.
you have to learn how to properly respond to it. If you don't give the right answer, you put it underneath, you take your piece, go back to go.
Square one.
And the opposite of all of that these pro-Palestinian activists and people here, like Tlaib and the rest of them, the people they're supporting, Hamas, the way they teach the kids in Gaza,
Right.
for example, in math class, they'll say, okay, you have 20 Jews, you kill 8, how many do you have left?
No way.
That's how they teach them the math. And they are indoctrinating them and programming
Right.
them. And that's why so many of these young individuals are involved. And they don't see it as wrong. I mean, they know it's wrong, but they don't.
Yeah, they believe in it
Yeah.
so deeply. In fact, I heard something recently. There was this lady had a daughter that was a teenager, and she was caught up in this whole thing. She was killed. She said, "This is the happiest day of my life."
Oh, she went to heaven, right?
Yeah, she was a martyr now, and she went to heaven. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
So the problem is,
Wow.
we don't think like that.
Correct.
They think like
That's
that.
the biggest difference.
Yeah,
That's the
and
biggest
you,
difference.
you're never going to win this war.
No.
You can win the battle, but you're never ever going to win a worldwide war, because you don't have the same philosophy and thinking and values that they do, and they don't have ours. And as long as that exists, then the education is missing from these kids who are born in any part of the world, who are educated to hate us and hate Jews and whatever they desire to want to teach these kids. That's going to disappear, or the whole thing will never
agree.
ever
Right.
disappear.
I agree.
Yeah.
Very
agree.
true, but what's the answer? What's the answer? How do you get it? How do you
The
get
answer
it?
is
Gotta
you've
wipe
got to
'em out.
continue. If you look at, now I haven't been to Lebanon, but I have a real good friend of mine who was Lebanese, and he came over, and he was there during the Lebanese War.
Right.
And he said, the same stuff that's happening today happened there. He said, the only way you can change it is to talk about it and try to educate these young kids and have them understand this is wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what you got to do. You have to talk about it and make a difference. The three of us are talking. I'm hoping thousands of people are watching this. I hope they are. Because maybe somebody will say, those are good points. I didn't think about it. But if you don't have the conversation, they'll go to social media and find out what the answer is there.
And the social media could be just one person giving them the
Right.
direction.
Right.
Right?
Right. And there's Palestinians who live in neighborhoods in Israel. They
Right.
live with the Israelis. They're neighbors. They respect each other. There's some Palestinians that go home to their Palestinian neighborhoods in their Israeli uniforms. They're part of the military.
Really?
Yes. So it can happen, but when you have these evil forces, as the general just spoke of, like Hamas,
Right.
or Hezbollah, those people, they're
Well,
pure
they want the
evil.
annihilation
They
of-
want the annihilation of the Jewish people, and Americans too. As the general said, because they have a whole different belief. There's another piece to this, of course, for all of us, which is, the faith that we have. A lot of that's not talked about, but they have their own
They
faith
have their
and
own
they
faith,
believe
of
in.
course.
But the strength, the Christian faith in America has always been part of our foundation.
Right.
And
but it's
it's a
becoming
critical
less and
component.
less.
Yeah, but I think people are starting to find that they can't get any answers anywhere else, and they're saying, well, wait a minute, I've heard about this, and they're starting to go there at least to tap on the spiritual door a little bit and open it and try to find some answers. But this is as we've been talking about, it is such an unusual time for all of us, not only in the United States but in the world. And you wonder, where are we going and how will this all end? Somebody once said, my parents are buried in Israel on the Mount of Olives. And somebody said to me once, your parents have a front row seat for the end of the world.
Wow. Oh, God.
And I never really sort of thought about that. We never want to think of it that way, but hopefully they have a front row seat for the transitioning of Christianity
Right.
across the world to root out the evil, because that's where we really need to make sure we have that foundation as well, in my view.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has to be something that's common to all of us, that means something,
Yes.
versus having somebody tell you what's right and wrong. Has to be in your own mind as to what you think is a value.
Right.
Well, you're dealing
And
with three religions over there, right? Judaism,
Well, there's, yeah.
Catholicism, and not Buddhism.
Well, you know, that in the
What am I
Mideast,
thinking
of?
the Mideast
That's-
and all of the rest of the world, it's all different kinds of faith.
Melting
and-
pots, yeah.
But the bottom line is, as Sheriff just pointed out, you know, if we respect each other,
Right.
we're okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I hate you, and you said that earlier too. If you can have a difference of what you believe in, believe it, but
Yeah.
don't kill me because I don't believe what you believe.
Right, right.
And I think that, how do you achieve that? You talk about it just like we are right now, and make sure to talk to somebody else. And if they don't vote, don't talk to them until they do.
That was good.
Well, I think I'm firmly in agreement with that. I've said that. And I've gotten arguments with people, and then I say, wait a minute, do you vote? Did you vote in the last? Oh, I don't vote. I don't. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. I don't even want to talk to you.
Well, we can't ask him that question until the show's over, because if he didn't, then we aren't going to be able to talk to him, and it's just going to be you and me.
So, by the way, it was Muslims.
Muslims, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Muslims and Christians do get along.
Yes.
And they interface
Yeah.
with each other in different communities, but it's the radicals. And I think,
The radicals of everything.
Hamas and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is another thing
Yep.
we got to worry about.
Yep.
But, you know, you look what happened with ISIS and look what happened with the Taliban. You know, you don't hear about them, but they're still here.
Yep.
And they're being funded.
And they've caught them coming across the south border, haven't they? Haven't they caught some of these
Chinese
people?
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, then they look at another segment of which you perhaps was involved in at some juncture. You look at fentanyl, and you look at the drugs that are coming across this country.
Yep.
And you look at
That's another way to destroy our country.
yeah, exactly, and they're just feeding little bits and pieces, and we seem to be digesting it rather rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty, you know, in Israel, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre has all of those, they all have their own place inside.
I've seen that on
Yeah,
TV. Yeah.
yeah, and they all get along. They
Yep.
respective of one another's religion, but they're all under the same steeple, if you
Yep,
will,
yep.
in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's an amazing
Which
thing to
is pretty
see,
cool,
and you can
yeah.
go to this area and talk to those people there, and you can go over to this one, and they have their own little section over there. But it's all, and they all
They all
live
get
there,
along.
right near the Wailing Wall. Yep.
But you know, it goes it goes to the disagreements within the ethnicity of who we are too. When you look at Italians as an example, I can talk freely. I'm Italian, but if you go to Italy and you talk to a Sicilian, they don't want to be
Right.
referred to as Italian.
No,
And if you
Sicilians.
talk to different parts of Italy, they don't want to associate with you, but they get along.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not from Fornelli, you're from Grazianese, or you're from
Yeah,
here and there.
yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Really?
they have a wine, they're all friends. You know?
That's like the Azores. The Azores has 9 islands.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they're all like, you know,
Yeah.
I would always tease the other people that I knew from other islands there, and I'd say, you know, I'm so happy that Pico, I have a home on the island of Pico. It's the tallest mountain in Portugal. So I'm so happy that I live on Pico, because Pico's the capital of the Azores.
Oh, no, no.
Because it's not the biggest island. San
San
Miguel is
San
by,
Miguel,
yeah. And it is by landmass the second biggest, but not by population. And they go, no. And I told a friend of mine that once, and he was at dinner at his in-laws, and he's telling the table, the Sharif told me that Pico, I didn't know Pico was I said, well, just look it up in the book. He was never going to look in the book. I knew he wouldn't. So he tells his father-in-law, oh, no. Sharif, you don't know what he's talking about. He started getting mad. He said, no, he does. It's from Pico. His father-in-law got so mad at him, right?
Really?
Because he was from San Miguel. So, but they do get along.
Yeah.
No, they do get along, and they're all Portuguese, Azorians. And push come to shove, in the end,
Yeah.
you know, and of course they drink wine there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
wine-making islands.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Well, after they have a couple wines, they're all right, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A little fun fact. You know that Tessera was one of the landing strips for the space shuttle in case of an emergency.
I didn't know that either. Huh.
Fun
It's
fact.
quite an airbase.
It is, a long air base. In fact, you remember the plane? They did a movie about it. This plane, this Canadian plane, it was only on its second flight. It lost power, and it had to land, and they always assumed that when a big jetliner with a few hundred people on it lost power, they would just drop like a rock. Well, this thing
Yeah, it did.
glided.
It went for
and-
several miles, a lot of miles.
Yeah, and it glided right down. Fortunately, it was up high enough. It was
Yeah, right.
38,000 feet or something. It glided down, and he had one shot, and he made it on that air base, and the front wheels ended up in the ocean, just touching the water.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Yeah,
at the
that
end
was
of the
a while
strip.
ago, yeah.
And that was in Tercera. That
That
happened. in
happened
Tercera.
with a Japanese plane that was coming into, I think, Los Angeles, and he went off the runway and went the front end of it went.
Right, yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, I do.
There was a big investigation, and I'll never forget that. It's funny as hell. The guy's being interrogated by a whole bunch of people. He said, "Okay, what happened?" He says, "I screwed up."
That's it?
That's it. He got up and walked away. That's exactly what
Wow.
happened.
He was honest.
What else are you going to do?
Thinking of
Yeah.
planes, what just happened with that pilot that
Yeah,
was
try
in
to
the jump
try
seat?
to-
Just try to grab over
Yeah.
and shut the plane down. That'd be a scary thing.
Yeah,
to
you
do.
got a lot of strange kids out there.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know where
every
we're going,
industry's.
but
every
Yeah,
industry.
how do we get on that? But that's okay. That fun fact flipped the whole conversation.
Yeah,
Flipped the whole
we
conversation.
were talking about these.
We used to have a lot of fun with him and I. We used to go to I went to a lot of places with him.
I'm surprised he came back.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Now, and I was in Cuba more recently. We were in Cuba a long time ago, but I was in Cuba more recently.
Yeah,
A couple of years ago.
Gitmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to Cuba.
You been down there?
No.
Gitmo?
No, I've
Yeah,
never
was that-
been.
No, I was in.
Yeah, you went to Gitmo with us. Yeah.
No, yeah, that. But
But
more recently, I went
Yeah,
to.
well, I was down there too.
Yeah.
Went on a cruise.
I
and,
stayed there. I stayed there for
Well,
like 10
we
days.
were on a cruise. We didn't stay there, but we toured Havana.
Yep.
And it's amazing to see the stuff down there. Now, I have a few antique and classic cars, and I'm looking at what they have down there.
Yeah.
They call it a convertible, but it's a four-door. They just chop it off.
Yep, yep.
And you get in it, and they charge you $100 an hour to ride around in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got in a '57 Chevy, and we're driving around. I said, "Can you pull the car over?" He goes, "Why?" Just pull it over for a minute. He pulls it over. I said, "Can you open the hood?" Beautiful '57 Bel Air, because Bel Air was the
Yeah.
top car then.
Yeah.
They didn't have the Impala till '58. Open the hood. He said, "Why do you want to open the hood?" I said, "This is not a V8," because it had the V8 symbols on it. This is not a V8. I can tell it's not a V8. Opened it up. You know what it was? A 4-cylinder Kia motor and
Huh.
transmission.
That's what they do,
It became a front-wheel drive because they can fix bodies and they can fix the bumpers, but they can't replace the engines.
Yeah.
So they take the Chevrolet engine V8 out and they put a 4-cylinder Kia in, some
Yeah.
Japanese engine, Chinese engine, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, all the cars were like
Yeah,
that.
but they look good. And you get up close, they do until you get really
Yeah,
close.
you get too close to them. They do a good job on the bumpers and on the fenders and everything. The Bondo goes big down there. They use a lot of Bondo there. The bodies are all
So
rotten out.
when I went on that cruise, we were the last ship to be authorized to go there.
Yep.
And when we left, they shut it down.
Well, I was there when it was shut down.
Okay, then you were there.
We
Yeah.
got there when it was shut down,
Yeah.
right after Trump had shut it down.
Yeah.
We got there. I said, "We still going?" The doctor friend of mine I went with, who used to be a Navy jet fighter pilot, somehow he had connections. Folks, we're out of time, guys. You spent an hour with Bob. You guys did a lot of talking.
Well,
I didn't get to talk.
That-
By the way, that's what people
that
say to
wasn't
me all the
bad,
time. You give people a chance to talk. I said, that's my goal, is to get people to talk, and I can just sit here and listen.
Well, I got to commend you. This is the first time. I've been on how many shows?
A lot. He has too.
Yeah, him too. So I can maybe share with me the first time that he's had his guests be able to talk.
Talk, right? I'm with you on that. I was going to say something about that.
He's more than mine, but
See what I deal with, folks? See what I deal with? Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be on with you,
Tom,
Bob.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Always good to be here.
Yep.
Yep. General Centracchio and Tom Hodgins, former sheriff of Bristol County. Hopefully you'll be back again as the sheriff. And folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob. Until next time, see you.